World events in 1813. America. Battle of the Thames, October 5, 1813. American forces, led by William Henry Harrison, defeated British and Native American forces, resulting in the death of Tecumseh, a key Native American leader, and the end of his Confederacy. Battle of Lake Erie, September 10, 1813. Oliver Hazard Perry led the U.S. Navy to a decisive victory over a British squadron controlling Lake Erie. Creek War begins July 27, 1813. Tensions between the Creek Nation and the U.S. escalated, leading to a civil war within the Creek tribe and American involvement. The United States gained its nickname, Uncle Sam, in reference to Samuel Wilson, a meat packer from Troy, New York, who supplied barrels of beef to the U.S. Army during the War of 1812. Canada. Battle of York, April 27, 1813. An American force, aiming to expand into Canada, captured York. While they achieved a victory, it came at a high cost, including the death of their leader, Brigadier General Zebulon Pike, when the British blew up the fort's magazine. The Americans then looted and burned parts of the town before withdrawing. Battle of Fort George, May 27, 1813. American forces captured Fort George, near present-day Niagara-on-the-Lake. Battle of Stoney Creek, June 6, 1813. A surprise night attack by British forces halted the American advance and forced them to retreat to Fort George. Battle of Beaver Dams, June 23 or 24, 1813. Laura Secor's warning to the British, based on information she overheard, led to a successful ambush of American troops by a combined force of British soldiers and indigenous warriors. Battle of Crysler's Farm, November 11, 1813. A decisive British victory that ended the American campaign to capture Montreal. Britain. In 1813, Britain was heavily involved in the Napoleonic Wars and the War of 1812. Notable events include the Charter Act of 1813, which renewed the East India Company's charter while limiting its trade monopoly. British forces also achieved victories in the Peninsular War, notably at the Battle of Vittoria, and engaged in naval battles with the United States. The Luddite movement, which protested against industrial machinery, was suppressed by British troops and magistrates. The London Institution was founded for the advancement of higher education. France. Battle of Lützen, May 2nd. Napoleon achieved a victory against a combined Prussian and Russian force, but it was a costly one. Battle of Bautzen, May 20th to 21st. Another French victory against a Russo-Prussian army, but again with heavy casualties. Napoleon's offensive. Napoleon mounted a new offensive in Germany, but his armies were ultimately forced to withdraw west of the Elbe River. Battle of Leipzig, October 16th to 19th. This decisive battle, fought near Leipzig, saw a massive coalition force, Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Sweden, decisively defeat Napoleon. The Battle of Leipzig is also known as the Battle of the Nations due to the sheer scale of the conflict and the number of nations involved, over 500,000 soldiers. Spain. In 1813, Spain was a key theater in the Peninsular War, part of the larger Napoleonic Wars. Siege of San Sebastián, July-September 1813. Following the Battle of Vittoria, the Allies besieged San Sebastián, a key port city held by the French. After a failed initial siege, a second siege resulted in the city's capture, though it was heavily damaged in the process. Siege of Pamplona, June-October 1813. Pamplona, another important city, was also besieged by the Allies, eventually falling after the French attempt to relieve it in the Battle of the Pyrenees failed. Battle of the Pyrenees, July 1813. A French offensive to relieve Pamplona and San Sebastián was launched by Marshal Soult, but it was ultimately unsuccessful, further weakening French positions in Spain. Battle of San Marcial, August 31, 1813. One of the last major battles on Spanish soil, it saw the French attempt to regain control, but ultimately fail. French retreat. The combined effect of these battles and sieges forced the French to retreat from Spain, with Wellington eventually invading southern France. Restoration of Ferdinand VII. With the French defeated and driven out, Ferdinand VII, the Bourbon heir, was restored to the Spanish throne in December 1813. Sweden. In 1813, Sweden played a key role in the War of the Sixth Coalition against Napoleon. Sweden officially declared war on France on March 24, 1813, after securing an agreement with the United Kingdom regarding Swedish claims to Norway. This led to the liberation of Swedish Pomerania shortly thereafter. A significant event was Sweden's participation in the Battle of Leipzig, also known as the Battle of the Nations, in October, where a coalition of forces, including Sweden, decisively defeated Napoleon's army. Norway. In 1813, Norway was deeply impacted by the Napoleonic Wars and the Treaty of Kiel, which ultimately led to a union with Sweden. Following Denmark's alliance with France, the British Royal Navy's blockade severely damaged the Norwegian economy. The Swedish invasion in early 1814 and the subsequent war resulted in Norway accepting a union with Sweden, though with a degree of autonomy and a new constitution. Turkey. Several notable events impacted the Ottoman Empire, which included much of present-day Turkey, during the year 1813. Ottoman-Saudi War, Wahhabi War. In the ongoing struggle between the Ottoman Empire and the First Saudi State, Ottoman forces, under the nominal control of Muhammad Ali Pasha of Egypt, achieved significant victories in 1813. Capture of Mecca and Jeddah. The Ottomans captured Mecca in January 1813, regaining control of the Holy City, which was previously under Wahhabi control. This occurred shortly after the recapture of Jeddah. Serbia and the Treaty of Bucharest. The Treaty of Bucharest, which officially ended the Russo-Turkish War of 1806 to 1812, had implications for Serbia, which had been rebelling against Ottoman rule. Iran. In 1813, Iran experienced significant territorial losses and political shifts due to the Russo-Persian War, 1804 to 1813. The Treaty of Gulistan, signed in October 1813, formalized these losses, ceding vast swathes of Iranian territory in the Caucasus to Imperial Russia. India. In 1813, India saw significant events related to the British East India Company, including the renewal of the company's charter and the end of its trade monopoly in India, except for tea and trade with China. The Charter Act of 1813 also allowed Christian missionaries to enter India and preach, marking a shift in British policy and potentially impacting Indian society and culture. China. Historical events in China during 1813 were dominated by the Eight Trigrams Uprising. This significant rebellion challenged the Qing dynasty's rule and involved Tianli sect, Heavenly Principle sect, a branch of the White Lotus sect, a millenarian Buddhist group that initiated the uprising. Leaders. Lin Qing and Li Wencheng led the rebels, with Li being proclaimed a true lord of the Ming and Lin claiming to be a reincarnation of Maitreya. Scope of rebellion. The revolt spanned the provinces of Zhili, Shandong, and Hunan. Attack on the Forbidden City. On September 15, 1813, rebels, aided by sympathetic eunuchs, attacked the Imperial Palace in Beijing. Imperial defense. The attack was repelled, with a significant role played by Prince Mianning, the future emperor, who used a musket to engage the rebels. In addition to the uprising, there was also a government decree in 1813 outlawing the practice of opium smoking. However, this ban proved ineffective as British traders continued to smuggle opium into China with the help of locals. Japan. In 1813, Japan saw the release of Captain Vasilii Golovnin by the Tokugawa shogunate after his capture during a surveying mission in Ezo, Hokkaido, in 1811. This event solidified Tokugawa authority over the region in response to Russian pressure. Additionally, there are records of Japanese castaways landing in North America around this time, including the Tokujamaru, which ran aground near Santa Barbara, California, in 1813. Korea. In 1813, Korea was in the midst of the Joseon dynasty. This period was marked by the weakening of the social class system and growing calls for equality, particularly among the fallen Yangban literati. Political instability. The Joseon court experienced significant political maneuvering among royal in-law families, leading to a lack of strong leadership. Isolationism. Korea maintained a policy of relative isolationism, earning it the nickname Hermit Kingdom from Western powers, unlike China and Japan, who engaged in more trade and cultural exchange with Europeans. Agricultural change. A new approach to agriculture, focusing on small farm holdings, allowed slaves who had escaped to find refuge and livelihood in remote, mountainous areas. Cultural flourishing. Despite political and social shifts, there were exciting developments in Korean visual, literary, and performing arts during this period. Australia. In 1813, a key event in Australian history was the successful crossing of the Blue Mountains by Gregory Blaxland, William Lawson, and William Charles Wentworth. This expedition opened up the interior of New South Wales for European settlement and pastoralism. Mexico. Siege of Acapulco. In April 1813, Mexican rebels under José María Morelos laid siege to Acapulco, a strategically important port city. The rebels successfully captured the city from Spanish royalist forces, according to Wikipedia. Congress of Chilpancingo. Convened by Morelos, this Congress aimed to formally declare Mexican independence. The Congress met from September to November, and a constitution was drafted, though it would not be fully ratified until the following year, reports Britannica. Capture of San Antonio. In April 1813, Spanish Governor Manuel María de Salcedo surrendered San Antonio to the Gutiérrez-Magui expedition of filibusters and Mexican rebels. This marked a significant early victory for the independence movement in Texas. Morelos' campaign. While initially successful in encircling Mexico City, Morelos' forces faced setbacks later in the year as Spanish troops regained territory. The campaign ultimately ended with Morelos' capture and execution in 1815. Battle of Rosillo Creek. On March 29, 1813, the Republican Army of the North defeated the Spanish Royalist Army near modern-day Beaver County, Texas, says Wikipedia. Argentina. February 3rd. The Battle of San Lorenzo took place, where José de San Martin's regiment of mounted grenadiers defeated a royalist force from Montevideo. This was a crucial victory for the Patriots and a baptism by fire for San Martin. 13-year assembly. This assembly, which began in Buenos Aires, played a vital role in shaping the nation's identity. It adopted Vicente López y Plain's Canción Patriótica as the Argentine national anthem. Patriotic coins. In April, the Assembly authorized the minting of the first patriotic coins, aiming to replace Spanish currency with emblems of the revolution. These coins were called escudos, gold, and reals, silver. National anthem. The Canción Patriótica, composed by Vicente López y Plains and Blas Parera, was officially adopted as the Argentine national anthem on May 11th. It is celebrated in Argentina as National Anthem Day. Battles of Vilcapugio and Iojoma. Despite the victories at San Lorenzo and Salta, the Northern Army faced defeats in these battles, leading to a strategic retreat. Chile. In 1813, Chile was in the midst of its war of independence from Spain. Several key events unfolded during this year, including the Spanish invasion of Chile, battles between patriot and royalist forces, and the emergence of prominent figures like José Miguel Carrera and Bernardo O'Higgins. We hope you have enjoyed watching the video. Thank you.